Okay, we're just starting from the beginning. We'll do it over.
Sorry about
So yeah, our speakers today are Tunji Williams, founder of DealWhip and CEO of DealWhip, and Alex Nordholm, who's also co-founder and head of product of DealWhip. And our second speaker will be Professor Ken Young. He's CodeX affiliated faculty. He's a professor in technology and innovation strategy at École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne in Switzerland. And he will be talking about his Patent Research Foundation company. So we'll be starting with DealWhip. We're running like 15 minutes late, so apologies to everyone again. I'll just turn it over to Tunji now.
Thank you, Roland. We appreciate it. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I got about 5 minutes into our presentation, and we realized you couldn't hear us at all. So we'll start again.
We'll do it better this time.
My name is Tunji Williams. I am a co-founder and the CEO of DealWhip.
Yeah, and this is Alex Nordholm. I'm also co-founder and head of product at DealWhip. To give you some background on Tunji and myself, we met as first-year law students at.
Image still didn't work, Phil.
Can people hear us, at least?
Can you hear us?
Can people hear us?
Monica, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Should we just keep going?
Yeah, we're having now image problems. So
You don't want to see us anymore.
no, but I think we want to see it. Well, you can all see the slides online.
I can, and it's recording.
Okay. All right.
Good enough. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we met in law school. Our first year, we were actually in the same small section, and 7 years later, we find ourselves presenting to CodeX. It's very special for us to be here, and we're really excited to be here. So thanks for having us. After law school, I practiced M&A and corporate law at Kirkland & Ellis, and then Davis & Gilbert in New York City. Tunji similarly practiced at a large international firm called Hogan & Lovells. You probably know Hogan, and then Miles & Stockbridge in Baltimore.
That's right. And here we are. Alex and I are both neophytes in the legal technology world, and the technology world, for that matter. Brand new to Silicon Valley. We just finished the legal technology accelerator over at LexisNexis in early December, and that was a phenomenal experience. So thank you to Josh Becker and Owen Bird over there, as well as the folks at LexisNexis for this opportunity and the platform. We've heard of CodeX. We've read on CodeX. We know this is the epicenter for legal technology and the legal.
Just legal technology, not communication technology.
So. Just, a one-line description of what we're doing at DealWhip. We are developing cloud-based integrated workflow solutions for corporate transactional attorneys with the idea that we want to help them deliver premium client experiences. I think it's really important for us to back up and explain our path here. As you already know, we're not technologists. We don't have a technical background, but what we do have is an intimate understanding of the pain points faced by people in our previous position, both mid-level corporate junior associates at large firms. We started this whole process, the building of this company and this technology, with paper, just like this paper I've got in front of me. Paper describing what an ideal workflow application would look like, a cloud-based workflow application would look like for corporate transactional attorneys. Right? And that came from frustration we had with our daily practice. There's so many inefficiencies in the practice of law, particularly in the practice of corporate transactional law. And coming in as a junior M&A associate, you are bewildered by the complexity at the substantive level, but then at the complexity of the process. Who's doing what? When am I supposed to have it done by? What is expected of me, and where do I fit in this larger picture? Right? So that's the problem we initially set out to solve with our product. So what we've got on the DealWhip platform is a cloud-based workflow collaboration designed to help corporate transactional attorneys manage their client relationships, their documents and matters, and their project-based and daily tasks. right? So that's what we're doing at a high level. The problems we are trying to solve are threefold. We divide them into three categories. Number one, which I already began to explain, is that the processes underlying the work we do are inefficient, complex, and dynamic. Really tough to figure out and even tougher to execute upon. Number two, the tools we've gotten used to using over the years are really clunky. The desktop applications we use, the Microsoft Words, the Litera, they're really clunky, disjointed, and tough to use, and they make it very difficult for us to engage and collaborate with our clients in a meaningful way. Tough.
We're hearing from Litera, yeah.
Yeah, we will be hearing from folks. And number three is this issue of speciation that we have in our industry. That's speciation in terms of work processes and speciation in terms of work product. And that's a fancy way of saying variability, right? I mean, you go to any organization, legal organization, and you'll find 100 different ways to achieve the same thing, and you'll find 100 different substantive forms for any given work product. That's a headache for clients because it makes their law firms a black box. They don't know what to expect when they go in search of legal services. And it's a problem for practitioners because it makes it very difficult for us to standardize and optimize our processes. So it's frustrating and it can be a painful career experience to have to work the way we currently do. And so Alex and I are here trying to solve our own problem. And we're at the very beginning of that process. So bear with us and we'll try to explain how we're trying to figure it out. We're starting from this place, right? We have two core philosophical pillars that underlie our mission and what we're trying to do at DealWeb. Number one is we believe that quality client experience is a function of two things. The first is price. How much do you charge your clients? You want to charge your clients as little as possible. You're able to do that if your processes are efficient and repeatable. Number two, we believe that data-driven standardization is the future of legal service delivery. And data-driven standardization allows you to save money and time on your processes and deliver your clients what they expect, right? And because we believe that quality client experience is determined by the delta between client expectation and the actual delivered outcome, if you have tools like ours that allow you to engage your client as you work and shorten feedback loops, you can achieve a quality client experience over and over and over again, right? Our product is a cloud-based workflow and collaboration platform, right? And what we've done is we've taken a tailorist approach to our architecture. And that's because we believe that even the most complex of corporate transactions can be broken down into several component parts, right? So what we've done is we've modularized each phase of any given corporate transaction and then overload coordination and collaboration and efficiency tools to help attorneys manage these processes. There's a larger vision beyond this workflow and collaboration. I think there's a very powerful data opportunity below all of this. What we're trying to do at DealWeb in one sentence is we're trying to have practitioners converge upon one work environment. We believe that you have everybody working in the same work environment, the same cloud-based work environment. There's an opportunity to begin to aggregate data about the way people work and the work product that they produce. And when you have that, there's an opportunity to develop and leverage tools that can deliver actionable real-time insights about work processes and substantive work product. And that allows every attorney then to become a process engineer. And that's almost as important as the substantive work you deliver, how you deliver it, right? So what we're creating is what we hope is the first legal process analytics tool, cloud-based legal work process analytics tool, right? So I'll now transition and let Alex explain the features of the product in more granular detail. I'll get back and explain the market.
Thank you, sir. So Tanji just kind of outlined a data-driven vision for what we're trying to do. As you all know, you can't have a data-driven vision without actual user data, right? So our KPI initially is absolutely adoption, right? Adoption is going to be everything for us. It is a mountain that very few legal technology companies have managed to climb so far, right? Getting widespread adoption of a legal tool. But we think if we follow a few guiding principles, we'll kind of optimize at least our prospects for doing so, right? And so they're laid out on this slide here, right? The first is building simple to use tools, right? Things that are easy. We know lawyers are not generally very tech savvy, and they're not going to take time out of their daily practice for the most part, to learn a novel technology that's relatively complex, right? They just don't have the time. The second thing is integration, right? Integrating tools to keep people in context, and similarly, comprehensiveness, right? Providing people with integrated sets of everything that they effectively need to conquer their daily tasks, or at least the vast majority of their daily tasks, right? And then the third, and probably most importantly, honestly, is technology that meets lawyers where they are today. The way that they're practicing today, you cannot expect lawyers who have been practicing for several decades to change the way that they're practicing overnight, to change their processes overnight. It will not happen, right? So you need to actually map their process over to software. And then, as this bottom point says, right, you can then bridge the future of legal services by leveraging data-driven standardization to deliver client experiences, right? So we can bridge to this future by initially mapping to the way that people practice, and then over time using data generated by those users to improve process and change process incrementally, right? So that's the philosophy. Here's our timeline and where we are today. We're working on the initial build, right? We're very close to completing it. February, March, we're excited to be starting alpha testing, right? We're putting it in the hands of actual users, our friends, our former colleagues, people who are actually in practice, are going to test it kind of in a private alpha test and start giving us feedback and hopefully validation. But we have been very opinionated in the way that we've designed this product initially, particularly because we do have significant practice experience. So we hope to have effective validation, essential validation, and then we'll iterate through February and March, and then we'll release the product in late April. Is very much the goal and the expectation. So that being said, that's where we are. Please keep that in mind. But we'd like to do a little bit of a demo of kind of what the product looks like today, and how these kind of integrated tools are working together, and hopefully creating a platform that will kind of fuel the future of legal practice. So let me try to navigate the Zoom new share. I hope everybody can see this. Uh-oh, I can't.
To share the screen, that's just a window.
That's just a window? You have any idea how to?
Actually, if you just launch it in that window, whatever window you have active.
You can't launch a movie in that.
I'm just trying to, is it here?
You can do the whole desktop. And then.
Okay, just do the desktop then. Here, do the desktop. Awesome.
There you go.
Great. So here we are. This is, I'll pause right here, right? This is the first thing that an attorney user is going to see when they log into to the product, right? And this, there are kind of three guiding organizational principles from my perspective here. The first are the tabs across the top, right? We've got a general commercial portal, and then this deal house as well, and then this place for closed matters, right? The general commercial is actually going to be our base product. That general commercial product is for any transactional attorney, basically, who drafts documents and executes signature pages. That means things like IP transactional, real estate, and of course corporate practitioners. And then deals is really an exemplar of our roadmap, right, where we want to go, which is creating practice-specific, deal process portals that are catered to the specific processes for each different practice area, right? And this deals is an example of the first one of those, which is for M&A and transactional matters, and that's actually what this demo has been constructed in. And then closed will house any closed matter that's been executed on the platform in a way that looks very similar to the matters as they're presented here. The left vertical toolbar is the second kind of organizational principle. This is the individual attorney level tools, right? So you've got a search function that allows platform-wide search. It's filterable by data type. We've got a messaging system that's very simple to use, but it's integrated, so it's document referential when you're working on the platform. We've got an activity feed, right? Which is basically, people are accustomed to scrolling through activity feeds, scrolling through Twitter today. This is an activity feed of anything that's happened on the platform, on your matters, will show up in your feed real time. And then a task list, which is, again, it's something that every single attorney that I know uses. I know I had a task list that I kept on a pad and used Post-it notes for. This, again, it's integrated and it's a bit better, so you can tag people, you can reference documents, and obviously you'll get automatic ticklers for tasks as they come due. And then the third principle here is the four kind of matters that you see here: Project Fire, Project Storm, Project Sun, Project Whirlwind. These are matter houses. So the guiding organizational principle for attorneys is the matter level organization. So we have given a visual representation of all the matters that this attorney is working on at the time. And now this video is going to walk you through how you would add another matter on our platform. Starting with clicking on this little orange plus button in the lower right corner. You'll watch the video take you through a very simple data entry process of entering in the essential matter information. We've kept it very simple because we want our users to tell us ultimately what data is going to be most valuable to them and build it out from there. And then you'll also watch us add a team and then team member, right? Our platform is built so that both opposing counsel and clients can collaborate with you on the platform. So the most important thing here when you're adding a team is whether the person is internal, as in on your kind of your attorney team, or on opposing counsel, and then whether or not there are clients. And when we know those two things, then we know everything that we need to know about the permissions that the person should have on the platform. So we'll just roll this. It's a quick video, shows you how quick and easy it is to just add a matter on our platform. So again, I'm just adding the admin, matter type, practice area, a public or private, and then finish. And now we're adding a team. We'll call it deal whip, a team member, and we're done. And there's a fifth matter. So that's the organization of the platform. We'll move on to a second little vignette, I would call it, of our drafting room in action, right? So, as I said, we're organizing by matter. This is an example of a M&A deal that you would have on our platform. As I click play, we'll walk you through the process of uploading a document and modifying that document, and then running a comparison of the documents so you can see the changes instantly and see the new version of the document. So I'll just click play. I'll stop here for 1 second because this shows you kind of these process modules that Tunji was talking about. You have a playbook where we have essential matter information. You see we've got a structure chart uploaded here. Because this is the M&A portal, we have the addition of the diligence room, which has diligence information and on-document diligence flagging, and then a binder room as well. The base general commercial module is just this kind of matter information playbook section, and then a drafting room and a signature collection room tool. So I'll click play from here, and you'll be able to watch a document get uploaded to this very simple list of documents. And you can assign responsible parties, assign responsible users, upload the document. You see we have a CodeX SaaS agreement because CodeX loves deal whip. And then you're creating an item, and you see we have a successful upload there. Now we'll click into the document. You can see the essential information about who is responsible. Here we've got the SaaS agreement in our document editor. Again, we'll make it a 2-year term because CodeX wanted a 2-year term on this agreement rather than 1. And we'll delete the dated as of effective date. That's redundant of the effective date above, so we'll just delete it. And then we'll commit a new version, right? And it gives you a preview of the changes. Very simple, just like a red line that people are accustomed to. You can enter information about the new commit of a version. So you've got a new version number. We got a little note about what's happened, which is very helpful, actually, something that in current document management systems, you have no idea what's happened to the document. and you've got a new version. Now the third little vignette we'll take you through is a collection of a signature, right? So just part of the power of an integrated platform experience like this is that, for example, you've got a document that we just uploaded to the drafting room. It flows straight through to the signature room. So you can work on the document. You can pass it back and forth from your side to the other side. You can pass it to your client for review. And then when it's done, no additional action is needed. You can simply plug into this closing room and collect the signature. So this will take you through a very, very simple signature collection process that we've created. It's very low friction. We think it makes signature collection a breeze versus, the current paradigm. And it's pretty self-explanatory. So I'll just play the video. But again, add a signature to the document. You click where the document is going to be signed. You make a signature box. Organization name, email, attention of, and you click done. It goes out for signature. Now we go to the inbox of the person executing the document. Again, we've got they enter their name, and we're going to get a beautiful mouse-drawn signature. Mouse never draws a very good signature, so we might want to rethink that. But we'll do a script or something like that, like the normal tools do. But you click the document and it's done, and there it is in the closing room. So very, very frictionless, very simple. You can see the video is 50 seconds long, and then also we've got a visual representation there for, you can imagine, 50 different documents uploaded here. The green means it's been signed in this signature matrix. So again, just some examples of what an integrated platform type experience can do. And most importantly, you can imagine the kind of process and substantive data that you can ultimately draw if you get people working in a centralized location like this. So there's a little demo. I'll pass it back to Tanji to talk a little bit about the market, if I can pull up this slide here.
I'll finish off. I know we started late, so we'll compress this a little bit. Our market is global and varied. We think that every corporate transactional attorney on earth should be on the DealWhip platform within the next 2 to 3 years. That's the plan. We think there are several different use cases. This is an effective tool for small firms looking to bat above their weight, improve their processes, and leverage their small workforces. We think it's a great tool for knowledge management departments at large law firms that are looking to extract some of the latent value that's locked in their own work processes. I mean, athletes watch game tape of a game afterwards to analyze the way they executed in the game and improve their processes. Lawyers ought to be doing the same thing with their service delivery models, and we think that we built the infrastructure to make that possible. In-house corporate legal departments, there's a stat from a Deloitte study in 2016 that says about 52% of in-house corporate legal departments are, number one, analyzing their legal services and doing major overhauls and bringing a lot of their legal work back in-house. We think this is an opportunity to service them and to offer a project management tool that will allow them to seamlessly coordinate and collaborate on their matters in-house. Government legal departments can use the tool the same way. And this is the most interesting use case for me is I think law schools. I think had I had a tool like this that I could use to study legal service delivery models as a third year or second year in law school, I might have been able to hit the ground running as a junior associate. They tell you at big law firms that, we're not really going to make money on you until the second or third year. There are very few other businesses where that's the case. That shouldn't be the case. I think that this offers a tool to effectively teach law students how you practice. How do we deliver corporate transactional services to clients? How many turns of a document is appropriate? What are the things to look for? And what we create with these modularized matter portals is a path history, right, of every single matter. You can go back once the matter is closed and see who did what, when did they do it, how did they do it? And you can evaluate your own performance in terms of service delivery process. So that's our market. You understand, hopefully, our goal. We're at the very beginning of this, but at the end of the day, we want to be a ubiquitous tool. We see ourselves as a cloud-based Fitbit for legal organizations. And hopefully one day, if we've aggregated enough data, we become the Bloomberg terminal of corporate transactional law. So thank you very much for taking the time to listen.
All right, questions? What's your business model?
We're a SaaS company. We charge our per user per seat per month.
per seat?
Per seat per month.
And you'll be selling in-house as well as, but also law firms?
As well as law firms. Yes.
Will you do like a free version or trial version at the beginning, or
That's a great question.
to get data or something, or users?
Absolutely. I think one of our guiding principles, Alex mentioned adoption being what we're optimizing for above innovation, right? And I think there's an issue with our, speaking of delivery, with our delivery model in the legal tech industry. I think we've made it very difficult for attorneys who would ordinarily be innovative and open to leveraging technology to actually access available technology. I think companies like Clio are doing a very good job of creating an ecosystem. However, I think we can do it better. I think there's an opportunity to create a B2C type model for the delivery of legal technology, and we want to test that. So we are creating a free version of the DealWith platform that will lower the barrier to entry and allow people to serve themselves on our platform. And that contributes to our data aggregation model.
Quick question, when you say, just to clarify, data standardization, do you mean against like a third-party standard like Matter billing codes, or you mean within their own data that's collected, standardized methods and processes?
Precisely, the latter.
The latter,
Yep.
okay.
All right, any more questions? Folks, if online, if you want us to hear you, please unmute yourself.
I'm not sure if anybody heard
Use
this.
the
I don't remember if this was in the first version of the presentation or the second, but I did mention that we finished the LexisNexis Legal Accelerator Program at the beginning of December, and that was a wonderful program where I think LexisNexis and LexMachina are doing a great job of nurturing young legal tech companies, especially those led by practitioners. I mentioned, I think in the first presentation, that there's a massive gulf between the tech community and the legal community. You've got fantastic innovators out here in Silicon Valley who are creating cutting-edge tools that unfortunately don't really speak to the way we do our work. And you've got legal practitioners that are worried about taking a risk and leaving their jobs to create solutions that actually would help them. So we hope that we're setting an example by showing that it's possible. You don't have to have tech training. There are people out here with the skills, so long as you can clearly communicate your vision. So yeah, thank you.
Cool. Well, thank you again. And to Ken and Adam.
Okay.
How do I?
Just hit stop share.
Oh, stop.
Okay. And I will start to share. Oh, I'll take off my HighTech NSA.
This is Paul Lippy. That I missed my chance to ask a question. Sorry, it took me a second.
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
So I would encourage you guys to think not so much law firm centric. And I think, candidly, if you presented that to VCs, they would probably want you to pick one of those 5 niches and even a sub niche within there. And I wouldn't think about M&A. I would think about either business to business contracting of, say a certain level, like $1,000 to $20,000 commercial contracts, and then similar kinds of lending or securitization transactions. And then you can become more of an exchange and a standard setter and add more of the default content. But people like, with all due respect, people like you who work at Kirkland & Ellis, or I forget what you said you came from, Hogan Lovells, they don't have the ability to get the firm to buy tools. So the sales cycle into firms would be very, very slow, I'm afraid.
Yep. I think that's wonderful advice and spot on. I think we try to incorporate that into our initial market penetration strategy, because we do understand that sophisticated practitioners are going to be wary of testing their high stakes deals on a platform that's untested. So our initial penetration strategy has us focusing on very small firms, solo practitioners, and businesses that don't have legal counsel either internally. So we hope we can grow our user base, but approaching exactly the type of users that you described. So thank you.
Thank you, Paul. All right, so if there are no more questions, let's turn it over to Ken.
I love this picture. It looks like I'm on Mount Rainier or something.
Yeah.
It's really impressive. So yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me here today. So a little bit of background on this. So I'm an applied economist and now affiliated with CodeX, although the research I'm doing with CodeX is more on financial disclosure and IPO work. So I wear 2 hats. I do work in that area, and I also do a lot of work in IP. And as part of my research over the years, working as well with Jeff Kuhn, who's now at UNC, we are come at this from the technology side. So I also teach data science and machine learning at EPFL. So I kind of have a foot in the applied economics, econometrics world, but also in the data science, computer science world. And so as part of our research, we started looking at big data-based analyses of the patent space. And we were doing that mostly in support of our research initially. I had a grant from Google to run some of that. And along the way, we formed the Patent Research Foundation as a hybrid organization that would both support our research on the academic side, but also start to commercialize for the benefit of the industry some of what we're doing and we're publishing on through open science. So it's with the hat now. I'll change hats and put on the hat of PRF, the Patent Research Foundation, as a commercial entity that is now up and running and selling products and services. So we're just closed our round of funding here. That's why we're all here. It looks like that's going to happen. We've been in pilot for the last 5 months with customers, getting customer feedback. We're going to Legal Tech Week next week, and that's the formal launch and open service where we roll it out. So we're a little further along in that we're actually ready to sign up customers. So let me show you a little bit about what that's about. Our mission here is to help patent prosecutors and or decision makers navigate the IP landscape. And now this has been addressed by other companies, but I think we're bringing something relatively new to this space. Again, I was discussing how I teach data science, and a lot of older technologies for searching the patent space, based on keyword searching and these kinds of tools, really can be replaced now with what's coming out of machine learning. And on the basis of that, you can get new insights that you just really never could get before. And the model here is that we're publishing these kinds of findings in leading economic journals and management journals, and then providing this through standardized reports on the market. The key here is that they're standardized reports. The contention is there are statistical and machine-driven ways of automating an analysis that will make it more consistent and reliable than kind of the hunt, peck, seek approach of typing in some keywords and running down this avenue and then finding something and then running down another avenue. The dominant approach to searching the space or kind of even understanding the space tends to be kind of user-driven, right? And so it's hard to know whether you've really scanned over that whole space. So our model is to deliver standardized reports that automate some of the process so that you can get greater consistency and efficiency and these qualities that then enables better analysis. So let's see, it looks like So the way our technology works is you define a starting point in this broader space of patent activity. And that starting point can be another patent, it could be a patent application, it could be a white paper, it could be a bunch of text that you would provide yourself. And we take that, define a reference point, run an analysis, and I'll talk to you about that in a second, but then create actionable metrics, right? So the idea is rather than just kind of throwing out information and then you have to kind of continue to wade through it yourself, is to boil it down into metrics that actually mean something that you can act on, and that you can then use in a business decision. So how does this work, right? So the effort here is to provide a clear view of what's going on, an overview. The user experience is very streamlined. It's really a 1, 2, 3 kind of process where we license by the company, not by the seat, so as not to discourage actual use of the system. So the company signs up for it. We're primarily targeting in-house legal departments initially, and then expanding out to law firms more broadly after that. Our initial market research shows the greatest call from the in-house legal departments to save on budget well, quite frankly, sometimes avoid having to pick up the phone and go to outside counsel. So the process is been simplified, where basically you sign in with your email. You pick a standardized kind of report. Here are 4 that are actually active now, and we have many more in development. So you select a report. There is a customization step if you want that, and you set your reference point, and that could be another patent, a publication number, some custom text. And then what you get back, and what we do on our side, is we run this vector space analysis. And this really comes out of the machine learning literature and the information retrieval literature. This is something that I research in my lab. And it boils down to the idea of getting a proximity measurement within this space that does not require a lot of hunt and seek and peck and putting in type words and kind of top of mind things and Boolean queries and checking if you got every synonym that is out there, so in case you miss something. So you would actually get a genuine confidence that you scan the space completely. A key point is that this is scientifically validated, right? So we publish on this in peer-reviewed journals. And I think there are a lot of other options out there. What we bring to the table, I think, as the Patent Research Foundation, is the fact that we work in cooperation with academics, and not just myself, but others, because we share access to our data for research purposes. And this supports an ongoing research effort built on the foundation. And it allows us to go out there and establish that kind of authority and trust with our customers, right? That you can trust this stuff, right? It's been through peer review and it's published in the leading econ journals. The technology, let's just kind of walk through, and I'll build up from the bottom, because it really builds off of one fundamental core piece of technology, which is this creation of a proximity score, a similarity score. And you see that here on the left with the 82 and the 78. This is how, what you do is you go find every other piece of prior art out there, other patents and applications, and you rank them. So you can walk down a list in order of how close they are to your reference point. Now what you do with that, and these are the scores here on the left, and this is part of one of our reports where it's basically showing you, here's this patent, here's who it came from, when it was issued, filed, some kind of these basic metadata things. But what's happening under the hood, and a lot of this is actually cabined away from what the user needs to know, but we take inbound a patent query, and what we're doing is, based on that query, we're processing this full text of both the inbound query and all the other patents out there. And we're analyzing every one of those. And we put it into a high-dimensional vector space model. And that model is identifying over 700,000 different dimensions. And I'd love to have a technical discussion with people as to the relative trade-offs of our methodology in our model versus other, say, latent semantic models and other kinds of topic modeling. But the combination of models that we put together here is highly, highly granular, and it gives you some statistical guarantees that you're not going to miss stuff. And we're looking at every single word, we're weighting things for relevance, and we're basically finding these hard to find associations. And from that whole analysis. And when a query comes in, we're firing up lots of computers. So we've all gotten used to the magic of the internet now. Like this should just happen within seconds somehow. Google magically makes something happen. And there are ways to do that with pre-indexing, right? And that's how a keyword searching model would work. But for something like this, it's orders of magnitude more difficult, and it takes a technical discussion to understand why. But suffice it to say, on the back end, that's what we're doing. And then what we do is we bring that all together and we deliver it to you as a report. So basically you get a report. That's what we do. We give you reports. Now this report, if we move back to that, our technology here is a fundamental step forward from technologies like semantic GIST or other kinds of latent topic modeling. And we're publishing results on that to basically kind of back up that contention. So along the way, we've used this. We did an article for the ACC docket, for example. So kind of over on the practitioner side, we have a paper with the National Bureau of Economic Research looking at particular issues in the renewable energy sector. Adam here is published on just hardcore CS side, doing efficient sparse matrix multiplication methods. This is kind of the core of what drives a lot of these kinds of vector space models. Most recently, Jeff and I have a paper with the chief economist at the USPTO, Alan Marco. It's in revised and resubmitted at RAND, which is a top econ journal, where we show the benefits of a model like this. So as a bit of an aside, I think most of you are used to seeing analyses which are driven off of patent citations. And there are real problems with doing patent citation-based research. They only reveal certain kinds of relationships out there between patents and miss a lot. And I think we can now show that in this article. So, okay, so what do the reports actually do, right? So we believe that our customers are telling us that they want something that's actionable, that they can actually make a decision off of. People get overloaded with a bunch of information coming back. Now, what do you actually do with it? So here's an example of one of our reports. What you're seeing here is first off an overview of a bunch of different apps, pieces of information that's coming out of this report. We have a positioning profile, something we're patenting. We have a linked network graph representation of a similarity map here on the right, which gets at the information in a different way. We also do a lot of benchmarking, right? So we know this one here is actually a patent, right? So we know which patent examiner it went through, and whether that examiner, as a fixed effect, tends to be more tough or more lenient. This one is fairly normal. We also can assess the scope of the patent as it went through, whether or not it was given lenient scope, broad scope, or whether it was refined a lot through examination. And we can also look at the dependency. So next up, so again, it builds off this basic ranking. And off of these similarity scores along the left, what we do is, this is one of our first very proprietary pieces that we offer, which is we're looking at the k nearest neighbors graph on the before period and after period. So the focal pattern would be this red dot here. And in the prior period, what you can see is that the recent art within it is of a certain distance back in time and of a certain distance away from you in the technical space. But after the arrival of this early technology patent, what we see is a fair amount of follow-on innovation. So in the bottom right section, we see a lot of other people followed in after this patent. And that happened relatively recently, followed on the patent fairly closely. What these variables do for us is allow us to predict things like, would you pay your maintenance renewal fees, right? So this has been kind of a hard one to predict in the field, because it's a good marker for private patent value. Are you going to just renew the thing? If you're not willing to renew it, then probably didn't have a lot of value. And so we can get a pretty accurate probability score as to whether or not you're willing to renew. And if you think about that from the customer side, a lot of these customers will have a portfolio of thousands of patents. And a lot of the inventors have moved on. They're not at the company anymore. These things come up for renewal, and it's like, oh my goodness, I don't want to make a mistake. What if I let the crown jewel out the door and didn't renew it, right? And so maybe I should renew everything. But actually the costs add up, and there's much greater budgetary constraints out there now to not just automatically renew everything. So how do you make a decision like that? Well, I guess we could hire outside counsel, but the whole point was to save money, not to start spending more, right? So if I were to call up outside counsel on every one of my 1,000 patents that I have to renew, that's going to get expensive fast, right? So what you want is some form of semi-autonomous technology that would allow you to get these things ranked. And so the stuff that's at the low end, that's clearly you're not going to renew. There's some stuff at the high end which you're clearly going to renew. And there's going to be something on the margin, and that's the area that you would examine closer, right? Maybe you do call in outside counsel or something for that portion. Let you rank this and make a more informed decision, a more optimal decision.
But Ken, so what factors is the algorithm taking into account to determine the probability of somebody renewing or not?
Yeah, so we have a model on this in a paper that shows this. So we've developed a model. And we have technology that goes into the creation of the variables in the model that we've applied for a patent over. So this would be our proprietary technology as a company. But that model is basically taking information that's coming off of this plot representation that you're seeing here. It's a combination of, intuitively you can look at this and you can see that what happened from the crosshairs, right? You have this one crosshair up here about technology was very far away. I came in and everybody followed. That's a predictor that what I've done is I've created something of value that everybody else sees as valuable and is trying to follow to some extent.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a combination of these variables that we're calculating analytically on our side. So this is one example. Now this is this somewhat spatial representation of the problem, but it allows you to drill down. So if you see what we've done is we put little indexed marks on some of the key patents within the space. This is number 54, and that allows us to find number 54 on the list, right? And this one's from the Canadian Space Agency. And you can click through on this hyperlink and go to the patent and look at that one in more detail if you want. This other representation here, the Similarity Map, is showing you the nearest linked representation of all these items. And what it's basically showing you, remember 54 is this one out here. And so it's connected into this clustering of aspects of the technology, whereas there's this other clustering over here, and in this particular patent, it has these two aspects to it because there's both a mechanical aspect and a software control aspect. And so you can find this and you can cross-reference this, but there's a lot of other information in our reports, right? So one would be, for example, one section of the report has the top inventors. So there are a lot of times where companies want to know who's inventing in this space. Maybe they want to go recruit these people, for example, right? So we're pulling out the top inventors that do similar work so you can find them. We give you information about how this patent fared through the examination process. This also these are other variables that go into the prediction of patent value. Cool. Yeah, so that's a summary, kind of running through there quickly, but initially some of this is about the good old industry of searching for prior art. However, as a company, really where we're going is much beyond that, right? So the service we'll offer for searching prior art will be quite cheap. I think we'll be very disruptive in that space because we have such an automated system. We can offer that very affordably. The current benchmarks, currently you might pay $500 to more, thousands of dollars to go do a search for this, and I think we can objectively show on empirical grounds we can beat that in terms of quality. and yet we can automate that, right? So in a sense, this is a bit of an automation story about machine learning coming in and automating aspects of this space. But that's really that's the kind of the general day-to-day use of this for searching prior art. But where we're going as a company, though, is to sell much more higher value products and services that allow you to identify strategically valuable patents, give you metrics around making very specific decisions in an efficient way. The patent renewal is an example. But in your space, M&As are one of these, right? So it's not released yet, but we have a report where you're doing due diligence in your M&A. One of our pilot customers did this, and the classic one is they're buying a company. It's like, oh, that's the portfolio we're buying. We should probably check that. And they find, oh, there's this cabined off little subset that didn't make it somehow into the list of what was getting sold to you, right? So they held back kind of a key part of their IP. And, you need to check that, right? Just because they've said they're putting all the IP on the table doesn't mean they have. So we have reports for those kinds of things. And there are other examples, but these are dedicated reports for very specific kinds of problems, right? It also allows you to monitor the space. Right now, you monitor the space by, I don't know, type in my competitor's name. But as we know from the Panama Papers and shell companies, there are a lot of ways to hide your IP and make it very difficult for your competitors to track you. And so this is one way to get around that, right? So you don't have to search by competitor, you're really searching by proximity. And so that, yes, I would say that's what we're about. We're going to Legal Tech Week, and if any of you are there, I would love to talk more.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Kevin. It seems to me that the function of determining kind of the value of IP assets is really sort of the holy grail, and a lot of companies, I think, or several companies, are trying to go after that. And it seems it's sort of like, you might actually turn sort of the outside patent counsel a little bit against you, right? Because there's all these inefficiencies that they benefit from. This companies like, large companies, they're keeping up, like you described very well. They're keeping up 160,000 patents, right? And they don't really know which ones are the performing assets and which ones are not performing anymore. And
well, I think we will
kind of pick out those that are performing. That is like.
Well, I think this will disrupt the legal market some. Now we will sell to legal firms as well. I think it's going to require some change on the legal firm side, right? The model right now is it's billable hours, and so the phone rings, pick up phone, the clock started. There has been more of a trend on the outside counsel side to start bidding for these things on a more fixed rate basis. And I think what we'll see is they're going to have to make a call, which is where's the value that they add, and okay, we'll automate away some associate time and whatnot, and we'll add value on top of that. And that's, I'm an applied economist, and so I see what's coming to the world, and with mixed feelings, but that's what's coming for the world, right? And to the degree that it does get you to a better end result, it's going to happen, right? And so I think to the degree that we can help law firms start interacting with their clients in a more effective way, that's the path forward, right? So I think that outside counsel can start contracting with corporate America in a different way, which is, okay, we will handle your renewals as they come up, and we'll use this tool. And that can be a win-win, right? Because they can automate away some stuff and focus in on higher margin, higher value stuff. I think they can also communicate greater confidence back to the client, right? So if you think about it right now, the decision is because we think so, right? And it's from a end customer's point of view, it's always a matter of trust. On what basis have you made this determination, right? And this I think will help counsel have a work product that's in front of them to have that discussion with their customer which is like, okay, let's look at the ones that were on the margin. And given these reports, this is why we're recommending that you go ahead and make renewals on these. And this is why we're recommending that you let renewals go on these, right? And that facilitates kind of that conversation with your customer. And so I think ultimately will help, right? I think will facilitate better interaction and better conversations with customers when you have some kind of actionable work product in front of you. Otherwise, the conversation kind of devolves to because we think so. And that's not really competence inspiring.
Being situated in Switzerland, in French-speaking Switzerland, with its 4 official languages plus English, and knowing that many countries have their own patent offices, Sweden does, for example, and fixing reference points such as in any given nation-state's patent system. How do you see multiple languages, multiple countries as an opportunity in your patent research foundation?
That is a great question. So I should be clear that as we roll this out, the way we're dealing with that is first get traction in the United States. As an economist, I can tell you that the reality is that if you have a patent of value, you ended up getting it filed in the U.S., right? I mean, it would be highly strange to have a valuable patent that you just decided to skip the United States on, right? So, just picking it up on the U.S. side in English, as translated by them, is one way to go. And even though I'm in Switzerland, my role in the Patent Research Foundation has been a bit of a caretaker, and now we're setting it up. We're hiring on a CEO, just hired on a CEO, CFO, CTO, and everybody's starting up, and we're opening an office in Seattle. So it will be a U.S.-based company, and how to deal with that in the long term. That's part of what we're working on, right? Yeah, there's a whole machine learning kind of corpus processing aspect of that. Yeah, you're right. It's a challenge going forward, without a question. But there is data from the EPO and the European Patent Office and others that we use. Yes.
I am just curious that if your evaluation model takes into the consideration of market evaluation and licensing market evaluation, for example, if a patent has a lot of licensees, then that's more valuable. So one data you could use is the data from RPX. Platform.
So when I embarked on this project 5 years ago, we spoke with RPX, right? And so there are a lot of these opportunities, and we're running them to ground. I guess maybe what I should say is philosophically on that point. We're an open foundation. Our view is that greater transparency in the patent market is a good thing. So we're kind of open to business for all. There's a lot of war. There's a lot of struggle out there as to NPEs and patent trolls and when is value being created and not created and held up and these issues. And so I think our role here is for greater transparency. More information on all sides kind of raises all boats. That's our kind of philosophical position as a firm. But back to your kind of very specific point about licensing, right? Well, yeah, so, one way to use this is, say, for example, so one interpretation of the NPE problem, non-practicing entity problem, is that you're at a information disadvantage, right? They have a lot of information as to what's going on, right? And maybe I'm just a little inventor in Ohio, and I don't have much information at all. So I'm at a great disadvantage. And so, again, back to our view, in my view as an academic, being an economist, of trying to make better functioning markets, to the extent that we can give smaller inventors access to better information, they can go out and strike better licensing deals, right? Find out who would you would be able to license to. There's a lot of work by Gons and Stern and others that show that these kinds of markets are inefficient. They're thin. They have timing problems and these kinds of things. So the extent that we could help that, I think, would be social welfare raising, which makes us feel good as a company.
Yeah, no, I think, but the question may also, maybe I misconstrued it, but may also go to the issue of not just non-practicing entities, but also determining the value of patents is also a function of like how many licensees does that patent have. How do you get to that data even, that's like contractual data that exists somewhere out there.
Yeah.
How can that be considered by your model?
Well, so moving forward, especially as being part of the CodeX family, these are conversations we'd love to have, right? So being able to get access to new sources of information and integrate that into our platform, kind of metadata in general, will be, I think, a growth edge for us. And so access to good licensing data would be one. So yeah, if you know us, I'm not letting you leave. So moving forward,
Yeah, I think sometimes like companies like platform companies like RPX, they would go on those auctions to buy patents.
Yeah.
And then they must have some data there, like how many bits they get on this patent. And
yeah, so my understanding of RPX and intellectual ventures and whatnot is what ends up happening is they end up having to buy, box loads full of patents, right? So they'll go out and they'll buy 50,000 semiconductor patents. They don't buy 4, and then it becomes kind of a process of weeding through those and finding the valuable ones. And part of what they're doing is they're assembling these broad holdings and trying to find complementaries between them. Right, so part of what they do for you, especially intellectual ventures, is they find those complementarities and assemble that for you, and then let you license it that way, right? Where it would be difficult to know. Patenting is a double-edged sword, right? A patent could be a good thing, and it also could be a bad thing in the sense that you might be missing one, right? And then if you're missing a key piece that's holding you up, that hasn't particularly helped you, right? It's put you at risk. And so intellectual ventures helps with that by making sure you have a consolidated set that you're licensing. But yes, these are discussions we'll have moving forward, right? Where we'll probably be working with companies like that. I would imagine we'll be interested in these tools to make more informed acquisition decisions on patents themselves as part of their portfolio. And eventually that could help them not have to buy 50,000 patents to get the 200 they wanted, right? Yeah.
Time for another question?
Yes, one more question.
Last question. What is the benchmarking that you use to be able to judge the accuracy of your proximity?
Oh, right. Yeah. So one of the things we really hold out for is this idea that we're scientifically validated, right? So I think one of the problems in this space is that it's relatively easy for anybody to go pull off some kind of machine learning algorithm off the shelf and just turn it on and then say they have AI. We all want something that says AI right now. The question is, how do you know what does it do, and how do you know if you're accurate? And so, being research scientists ourselves, we take that really seriously. And so we went through a big exercise of going out and finding office actions from the USPTO. 102, 103 rejections. These are issued and released, unfortunately, as PDFs, and so you have to OCR the PDFs, and you get these millions of documents, and then within them you have to use natural language processing to find, well, this patent blocked to this patent. You got a rejection because this one blocked for the following reason. It's a 102, a 102 office action, and so what we can do is we've reconstructed that data, which gives us a type of ground truth. Right, so if you know that you received a 102 rejection, it's similar, right? It's a novelty rejection. And so based on that novelty rejection, we can then tune our models, right? So the whole trick in machine learning is not just to take it off the shelf and turn it on. Those don't work very well. As you do more of this kind of stuff, that's what you're going to discover. Anybody can do that, but it doesn't work very well. Tuning your model and having good labeled data to learn off it, that's the trick. So we've gone through a huge exercise of developing a ground truth around which we can train our models. And that's how we know we do a better job, right? And that's what we publish on.
Cool. Sounds like somebody online had a question. Was there another question?
It's Monica Bay. I just wanted to say that I will be at Legal Tech. And if other folks are going to be up there, I will be there on the 30th, 31st, and 1st. You can reach me at mbay, that's at codex.stanford.edu, and feel free to call if I can help you in any way.
Great, thank you, Monica. And yes, CodeX will have a pavilion at Legal Week, and yeah, be sure to check it out. All right, so well, with that, please join me in thanking Ken again for the technical difficulties at the beginning. And yeah, see you all next week. We have a session next week?
We actually are skipping next Friday, or Thursday, sorry, February 1st. We'll be back on February 8th.
All right, okay, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
All right, thank you.
Let's actually probably stop sharing here in 1 second.